Gay men over 40, dating hasn't passed you by. You have outgrown the version of dating you used to know. You're not looking for a wild night anymore. You're looking for someone who actually sees you. And that demands a new level of honesty, presence, and self-worth. If you don't evolve your approach, you'll keep mistaking loneliness for independence and wonder why you can't build something that lasts. Let me get something very clear. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're not being punished by the universe for something you did in 2011. Today, I'm going to talk about dating for men over 40. And I'm going to share 7 concrete tips to help you find a partner, if that's something you want. Hi, my name is Tom Brewitt. I am a sex and relationship therapist, and I help gay men build stronger relationships with themselves and their partners. Let's dive in. I want to start with some numbers. Not because I think data should tell us how to feel, but because it can help us zoom out. A 2018 AARP study found that 57% of gay men over the age of 45 are single. Compare that to 39% of lesbians and 48% of bi men in the same age group. And if you compare that to other studies on straight folks, the number of single heterosexual people over 45 is closer to 29%. So if you are a gay man who is 45 or over and you are single, you are very much not alone. Now, some caveats. These sample sizes are often small. LGBTQ+ communities have been historically misunderstood and pathologized in mental health research. We always have to look beyond the headline. So I want to be crystal clear. Being single is okay. Plenty of people are happier single. If that's you, I am cheering you on from the sidelines. This video is for those of you who wish you were partnered, or at least wish you had the option to be. Let me share a story about a good friend of mine. I'll call him Al to protect his privacy. Al was with his partner for many years. They built a beautiful life together. And then his partner died suddenly. He was devastated. He grieved and he healed slowly and he rebuilt his life. After a while, he decided he wanted to try dating again. So he did what most of us do today. He hopped on the apps and he hated them. The swiping, the ghosting, the mask only, the weirdness around age. It felt like he was playing a game he didn't understand or agree with the rules, but he didn't give up. He stayed curious, he talked to friends, he kept his heart open. Eventually, he met someone much younger. They clicked, they laughed, they had shared values and very different life experiences. It turned into an age gap relationship and he has been loving it. Do they get judgment? Sometimes, yeah. Do they care? Not really. So why am I telling you this? Because dating in your 40s, 50s, and 60s isn't about trying to recreate what you would have done at 25. It's about finding what works now for who you actually are today. Before we get into the tips, let me set some context. The game is not exactly stacked in our favor. Here are a few reasons. We lost an entire generation of men to HIV and AIDS. That created huge gaps in mentorship, community, and role models. Many of us grew up with 0 healthy examples of gay relationships. No parents, no neighbors, no sitcom couples showing us what long-term queer love could look like. There are simply fewer of us. There are fewer gay men out there than straight men. It's a fact. This is even harder in rural areas without many options to connect. Our rates of trauma, oppression, and substance misuse are higher. That understandably impacts mental health and your capacity to show up for healthy relationships. So if you're watching this and thinking, why is this so hard? There are structural and systemic reasons why it's so hard. And it's not just about being in any relationship. It's about being in a healthy relationship that actually enriches your life. Okay, with that context, let's get into the 7 tips right now. Tip number 1, get honest with yourself. Before you change your dating life, you have to be honest with yourself. This can sound like, what might I be contributing to staying single? Where am I getting in my own way? What patterns keep repeating? This is not about self-blame. This is about self-awareness. You might talk this through with a trusted friend or a therapist or a coach or a support group. Some of the things that come up for a lot of my clients are untreated trauma. If you have been through painful relationships, family rejection, bullying, or loss, that doesn't just disappear because you downloaded Grindr. Trauma can make it harder to trust, harder to be seen, and easier to shut down or run the second something feels scary. Compulsive app use or hookup use. If you're relying heavily on apps or hookup culture to meet needs for connection, validation, or escape, it can be harder to slow down and actually build something deeper. There is nothing wrong with hookups, but if they're filling a hole that a relationship would live in, that's worth noticing. Attachment patterns. So maybe you pull away the second someone gets close. Maybe you cling the second someone gives you attention. The good news is that attachment is not a life sentence. You can work on it like a muscle at the gym, especially in therapy. Unrealistic standards as protection. Let me say this gently. Some of you have standards that are less about finding love and more about avoiding being hurt. If your must-have list is he's 6'2", jacked, 6 figures, no emotional baggage, perfect, and he loves every single thing about you and never triggers you, you're not really looking for a partner. You're looking for an AI blow-up doll. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's your thing, but it's not human. Human relationships are not perfect. High standards are great. Protective walls disguised as standards, not so much. Getting honest with yourself is the foundation. Without this, every other tip in this video is going to feel like arranging furniture in a house with no roof. You're going to get rained on. Okay, that was a lot. So tip number 2, focus on friendships and community. First, I know you clicked a video about dating and I'm telling you to work on your friendships, but hear me out. The skills you need for a healthy romantic relationship are the same skills that you use in friendship. Being reliable, showing up, being vulnerable, apologizing, repairing, setting boundaries. If your friendships are mostly surface level or centered around substances or events, you may not be getting the practice your nervous system needs for deeper intimacy. So what can you do? Have deeper conversations with friends. Ask real questions. Practice sharing something vulnerable that you wouldn't normally share. Do some of this sober, because if alcohol or other substances are in the mix often, it's not going to be as productive. Practice relying on others. Ask for help. Let people show up for you. Many men, gay, straight, queer, have a hard time leaning on others. But partnership requires exactly that. If you struggle to open up with close friends, it's going to be nearly impossible to open up with a new partner. Community isn't just a consolation prize, it is a training ground. And you don't abandon the community when you start dating, but that's a whole different video. Okay, tip number 3, consider where you live. This one can be hard, especially if you're attached to where you live, but it matters. If you live in a rural or very conservative area and you're one of 5 gay men within a 200-mile radius that you see every time you open the apps, finding a partner is going to be more difficult. Not impossible, but harder. If you have the privilege and the flexibility to move, or even spend chunks of time elsewhere, you might consider moving to a city that's larger or has a larger LGBTQ population. Or spending more time in queer neighborhoods or spaces, or joining clubs or book groups or sports leagues or volunteer roles where queer folks gather together. The goal isn't to abandon your whole life. It's to ask, is the environment that I'm in supporting the kind of relationship I want? And if moving isn't realistic, can you plan regular trips to queer-friendly cities, or attend events or conferences or retreats? Maybe join online communities that connect you with people in other places. Sometimes the issue isn't you, it's the zip code. Okay, tip number 4, be open to long distance, at least at first. I know long distance is not everyone's dream for a relationship, but for older gay men, it can be a realistic starting point. We live in a time where you can meet people through apps or social media or hobby groups or Discord servers, you name it. And you can build emotional intimacy through texting or calls or video chats. And you can see if someone is consistent over time before you merge your lives together. If you try long distance, a few important things to remember. Be careful of scams. If something feels off, it probably is. If the person never wants to video chat, that is a red flag. And this is happening more and more, especially to older gay men. Make a plan to see each other in person. Not instantly, but eventually. Relationships can't live online forever. Talk honestly about the end goal. Are you both open to relocating down the road? Can you imagine the same kind of timeline? Long distance can be a bridge between your current life and a shared one. It doesn't have to be forever, but it can widen your dating pool in a really big way. Tip number 5, try gay travel or retreats or resorts. This is one of my favorite suggestions, especially for men who feel totally burned out on apps. Gay travel, whether that's a cruise or a resort or a group trip or a retreat, puts you in a space where there are lots of other queer men. You share at least one interest, travel. People are generally more relaxed and open to connection. You're not just swiping on torso photos. You're actually seeing how people move through the world. Are they kind to the staff? Do they keep their word? Do you laugh together? Do they make you feel calm or anxious? Maybe it leads to a vacation fling, maybe a long distance connection, or maybe just you get to practice using your social muscles again. And honestly, even if you don't meet your future husband, you still get rest, fun, and maybe some new friends. Tip number 6, get off the relationship escalator. A lot of us unconsciously absorb the relationship escalator. That very straight, very traditional idea that a real relationship goes, you date, and then you move in, and then you marry, and then you get a house in the suburbs, and you get 2.5 kids and a golden retriever. Queer folks didn't create that escalator, and it doesn't necessarily fit our lives, our values, or our realities. So I want you to ask, what kind of relationship would actually work best for me at this stage in my life? Do I want to live together? Or would separate places feel better? Am I curious about open relationships, or polyamory, or some form of non-monogamy? Could a roommate or friendship situation fill the void with or without sex? You might be trying to squeeze yourself into a relationship model that you don't actually want. And if you're approaching dating with the idea that I need someone who wants to be on the exact same escalator as me, you could be looking for people who are not a great fit for the life you actually want. Tip number 7, embrace differences and widen your pool. In gay relationships, we often have more differences. Age gap relationships, racial and cultural differences, class differences, different levels of outness, different relationship histories. And that is not a downside, it is an opportunity. If you only date men who are within 2 years of your age, who make within 10K of your salary, or who have the exact same body type and share all of your tastes, you may be shrinking your dating pool down to almost nothing. Can you get curious about age differences, like my friend Al did, or different racial or cultural backgrounds, without fetishizing or getting weird? Difference in a relationship is not the enemy. What matters is whether you share core values and treat each other with care and respect. A big question here, are you actually ready for a relationship? This might be the hardest question of this video. Are you truly ready for the relationship you say you want? Not the fantasy one, the real one. Real relationships require patience, emotional flexibility, honesty, repair after conflict, self-reflection, collaboration, dealing with your own stuff and someone else's. If part of you is still terrified to be seen, or to compromise, or to let someone into your carefully curated single life, I don't know if it's going to work out for you. You can be not quite ready and still be on your way. Let's put all of this together into a few concrete steps that you can start now. Number 1, slow down. Do some of the self-reflection I talked about in this video. Notice your attractions. If you're always drawn to the same unavailable or chaotic type, that is information, it's not failure. Practice small acts of vulnerability. Text first. Say, I'd like to see you again. Tell a friend you're lonely instead of pretending you're fine. Date people who feel safe, not just exciting. Safety is not boring, it's sustainable. Normalize the awkwardness of intimacy. Healthy dating will feel uncomfortable sometimes. That usually means you're growing. If you're an older gay man watching this, know that it is possible to find connection again, if you're open. I can't promise you that your heart won't break again, but I can promise you that if you avoid risk, you will avoid possibility. If you liked this video, check out my video about gay relationship green flags. I talk more about gay dating and some of the guideposts along the way that will let you know you're moving in a good direction.